the provincial election in BC is coming up on Saturday, October 19th. At Elections BC, we're preparing for that, a lot of activity at our office. We're really excited about some new changes we're making to make the voting process faster and more efficient and provide better service to voters in BC. So there's two main changes. One is to use networked laptops to manage the voters list electronically. So you might remember when you've come in to vote before, there was a big paper book with a written voters list that the election officials used to cross people off the voters list. We're using technology to do that this time, and the result of that is faster service for voters. We'll be able to serve voters on a first come, first served basis. We're also going to be using electronic tabulators to count paper ballots on election night. You're still going to have a paper ballot that you mark with an X or by filling in the circle next to the candidate, but it will go into an electronic tabulator, and they help us report results very quickly on election night. So that's one of the main benefits of them. We've used those machines in past provincial by-elections in BC, and they perform very well. They're accurate, secure, and efficient. But this is the first general election in BC that will be using them province-wide. The Chief Electoral Officer in 2018 made recommendations to allow us to use more technology in the voting process, and in 2019, BC's Election Act was amended to allow for the use of this technology. In the past, in BC, there have been very close elections, like in 2017, the closest election in the province's history, where it wasn't clear on election night who would eventually form government, and there was about a 2-week gap in terms of when the results were known. One of the benefits of using tabulators is we can report results very quickly on election night. We expect to see results start to come out within 15 minutes of polls closing. And notably, that will include absentee and mail-in ballots. And in previous elections, those weren't counted until about 2 weeks after election night. So we'll be counting almost 98% of the ballots in the election on election night with the use of this new technology. So we'll be reporting both results quicker than we have in the past, and we'll be reporting results for almost all the ballots in the election on election night. Certainly there's a lot of misinformation about tabulators out there. One thing to bear in mind with the way we're using technology in BC provincial elections is that we still have a paper ballot. It's considered the gold standard in election administration because you can't hack a paper ballot. So that's still a centerpiece of our system. It's a paper ballot marked by the voter. You still go behind the screen, mark it in secret, and then the tabulator's counting that. We thoroughly test the tabulators before and after they're used. And party and candidate representatives are welcome and encouraged actually to observe those tests so that they can see that happening. Before the tabulators are actually used in a voting place, they produce a paper report, again, a paper report, nothing online, that shows that no votes are stored in the tabulator and that there's no votes in the ballot box itself, and that also is observed. And we've taken a number of precautions to ensure security. So tabulators themselves are never connected to the internet. We have a full chain of custody process to ensure they're not tampered with, and we seal them when they're not in use. So there's a lot of precautions in place to ensure that they produce accurate results. And we're trying to share that information with voters in BC so that they actually have good information about how provincial elections are run in the province and why they can be confident in the results we report. Yeah, I would just encourage people to get out and vote in this provincial election. Democracy is super important. Right now, we're encouraging voters to make sure their voter registration is up to date so that once the election is officially called on September 21st, they're ready to vote. And there's lots of ways to vote in BC. We've got 6 days of advance voting from October 10th to 13th, and then again on October 15th and 16th, and then of course on October 19th. So I just encourage voters to make sure that they get out and cast their ballot in this election.